Well, hello everyone, Philosopher Stoner. So, some documentaries have come to my attention that are quite interesting. Well, one's a documentary and one's a movie, but they're both based on a lot of research. Um, so their names are in the title of this video. The first one's called Shadowgate. That was done by this woman called Minnie Weaver. It's actually been reported that a couple of days ago, for undisclosed reasons, she was arrested and she was supposed to publish this documentary this coming Wednesday, but they've arrested her. So it's called Shadowgate. And it's basically it's similar to, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, about all the spying going on in the government, the NSA. This is particularly focused on the United States, but there are links to Canadian companies. The CGI, that's a Canadian, one of these, hacker, online, digital, whatever the fuck you want to call it, tech companies, with links and mysterious, transactions and billing, and talking about how, Hillary Clinton had 30,000 emails that got lost, that got deleted, and supposedly that's all bullshit, and it's linked to this guy that I knew about this. This was years ago now. This story, Seth Rich, and supposedly he got whacked because he gave he had the DNC emails, and he gave them to the wrong people, so they got rid of them. And then these 30,000 emails are linked to the story of Pizzagate, of course, which was one of those things that came out of that email scandal with the John Podesta emails on WikiLeaks that led to the code words that led to the whole Pizzagate thing, which is, again, when you search that term in the excuse me, the Google search parameters, it's a thoroughly debunked conspiracy theory. But as I pointed out, there's several documentaries out there, and a lot of not hard evidence, not like DNA, fingerprint, eyewitness, confession as evidence, but massive amounts of circumstantial evidence that, yeah, there's that from my personal opinion of watching all sorts of documentaries about it online, from Titus Frost, the hacker Big Fish that found child porn on the guy's site, blah 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 blah. That there's kernels of corn to that story and the shit that are true. At least certain threads of it make sense. It's a coherent picture. Yeah, that John Podesta guy is probably, yeah, he's bad news. And yeah, so it's linked with those emails and stuff. But anyway, so this documentary Shadowgate doesn't talk about Pizzagate or anything. It's just how, like with these smartphones and this technology stuff, the big tech companies, just of all the massive spying, the data mining, the data harvesting, the disingenuous free apps that, yeah, they sell your information to the highest bidder, and the whole Russiagate thing with Trump basically being a completely fabricated story, fake news. And then how both sides, ever since that Pizzagate thing, that term, fake news, started being used a lot. And it's now being used by both sides of the political spectrum, Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. There's a lot of fake news these days. We can't seem to agree on what's real news, what the truth is, and everything is being distorted and manipulated. So now this documentary definitely has a bias. It's in bed with a lot of the far right, the right wingers in the United States, that are right wing, conservative. Again, although I don't like these terms, right wing, conservative. As I've said many, many times, these labels are arbitrary, elastic. The definitions have changed over the years, and it's part of this whole thing of divide and conquer, us versus them. It's a distortion of what's really going on, getting lost in these labels and these definitions and these terms, when we need to invent a whole new lexicon to talk about what's going on and really define certain, what the British call in philosophy, first principles, and which is basically a set of ideas of all the groundwork, the ground terms that we could agree upon, right? So I wouldn't use words like communist or capitalist or whatever. I would start using terms like work and productive work and socially productive work. And I think there's a lot of actual commonalities in different political different philosophies and stuff. But like I said, we get lost in these labels. But anyways, like I said, so a clear bias. It's clearly, what passes for the right wing these days. But, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden and stuff have talked about a lot of stuff that, yeah, is valid, and they are like thought criminals. They are, being persecuted, detained. There's no real justice. There's no real fairness to it. Yes, it's bullshit. It's crap. So, anyways, it's a good little documentary, not too long, and it just goes into how, yes, the whole media, none of the media can be trusted. It's a thread that the Trump people are onto that I happen to agree with, that, yeah, the whole media is corrupt. Not that I'm in love with Trump. Not that I'm wearing a Make America Great Again hat, or any of that, or going rah, 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 Trump. But, yeah, definitely, yeah, the media is corrupt. It's ABC. Oh, fuck, what was their name? But anyways, yeah, Project Veritas leaked that they knew about the Jeffrey Epstein story for like 3 years, and they covered it up. The higher-ups told them, no, you don't talk about this, and they concealed it for a long time. And if they're willing to cover up such heinous crimes like that, well, what else are they up to? What else are they willing to do? So it's like, certainly most of the Trump people, it's fair to say, won't be splitting the atom anytime soon. Like I said, I don't care for these God botherers, that the right wingers. There's elements of what they believe that, no, I'm not in agreement with, but I could say the same thing about what happens to pass for the left these days. Yes, the loony left, these Antifa people, these Black Lives Matter people, just the universal basic income people, these people that are just fucking off the rails crazy. And, like I said, a lot of the Trump people happen to be, off the rails crazy, but in different ways. There's definitely more aspects of my philosophy that seem to be right-wing, although, again, like I said, I don't really identify with any of these labels. I'm sort of outside the paradigm. I don't believe in all of these institutions. But yes, it just sort of reveals, it sort of is a good documentary just showing just all the shenanigans that are going on, that people are very naive, that all the people that have money and power, yeah, they're distorting everything. There's a lot of lies, a lot of bullshit, a lot of propaganda, a lot of crap. So yeah, go watch it. Go check it out. You just search on YouTube Shadowgate, and I'm going to put a link to it in the description below, or to the side, or whatever. And I suspect it's being hosted on multiple YouTube channels, but I think it's another one of these things that's going to be taken down. The powers that shouldn't be are going to scrub it, because it's talking about a lot of stuff that's very inconvenient for the powers that shouldn't be. It's also on a website called banned.video. It's not like www.banned.video.com. You just type in the URL in Google, or whatever your browser is, Firefox, whatever, Google Chrome, whatever browser you're using. You just type in banned.video, and you can also go watch it there. And like I said, the woman that made it's been arrested. So anybody that's being arrested for making a video, there's obviously some truth to it. She's talking about stuff that actually, makes sense. So anyways, but yeah, of course, obviously, do your own research. Have a critical mind. Don't swallow everything. But yeah, it's a good documentary. Anyways, and then the next one is one by a guy called John Rice. John Allen Rice, I think. And it's a documentary that's also banned now on Amazon. You can still find it on certain Amazons, but in different countries like Holland. But otherwise, like the United States Amazon and the Canada Amazon, yes, it's been banned. You can also find it on that website, banned.video. It's called A Child's Voice. And it's actually, I've watched it. It's a pretty bad movie. It's a B movie. It's not a very good, very entertaining movie, but it's based off of all the research that they've done into the creepy cult that's running Hollywood or whatever. The pedophilia, the links to, I guess for lack of a better term, Satanism that's in Hollywood, the abuse, the human trafficking, all the shenanigans that have been going on, the widespread problem of, pedophilia, child abuse, that, Corey Feldman's talked about it, Elijah Wood's talked about it, Rose McGowan's talked about it, Mel Gibson's talked about it. And, like I said, Mel Gibson, he's another one of these, he's a nut job. He is a bit of a nut job, but not everything that even the nut jobs say stuff that's right every now and again, right? So it's important to pay attention to all of these extreme kind of people. But David Chappelle's talked about it. All sorts of people have come out and said, yeah, there seems to be something creepy and weird going on in Hollywood. And I've talked about it in a few of my other videos that, yeah, they run the media, they run the entertainment industry, and they have an agenda. Now, I don't really quite know totally what the agenda is, but yes, there's some sort of an agenda. All of the entertainment on Netflix and a lot of the media the last 20, 30 years, yes, it's all dark. All of the characters are, the protagonists, anything made in the last 20, 30 years. Every character's villainous. Every character's an anti-hero. Every character's a scumbag. And if they're not, they're some kind of a weak, decadent, beta male, a Peter Griffin from Family Guy, a Homer Simpson, uh, uh, there are no Herculean virtuous heroes and characters anymore. It's all just, yes, if not shades of gray, like completely dark, sick stuff, with just wickedness, vice, just corruption, the sort of decline that, yeah, I'm even becoming aware of it, and I am sort of detoxing my brain from a lot of this. Yeah, I think it's garbage, and I think it's poison. I think we're too much to meet. I've made uh, my own analysis of certain things on Netflix, like that Midnight Gospel. I did a series right there, the Midnight Gospel, part of my Occult Musings series that you can go check out on my channel. And I go into analyzing my theories. Again, not hard evidence, my theories that, yeah, it's referencing Aleister Crowley and a lot of this really, Satanism stuff and a lot of really sick, deviant, creepy, weird stuff. And it's a supposedly an innocent cartoon, but I think there's a subtext and undercurrent to it that it's a lot of really weird, creepy stuff. And again, there's no hard evidence of any crime or anything, but there was something about that show that was just like, yeah, I don't know. If the symbolism and the codes and stuff are true, it's really gross, really sick. And there's just a lot of entertainment like that these days. And so, yes, it's all coincidental that it's all coming out of Hollywood. Um, so like I said, I'm not one of these God botherers. I'm not a God botherer. I'm not a particularly, like, I have said maybe in the past, if I had been born 50 or 100 years ago or 200 years ago, I might have been some kind of a priest or a monk. I think in a lot of ways, yes, I'm a more spiritual, principled person in a lot of ways, and it just happens to be that the modern world is very dysfunctional, right? Like the Catholic Church is completely corrupt and infiltrated by all these pedophiles and all this stuff that, yeah, religion didn't brainwash me. I didn't fall for the propaganda or the brainwashing that in many ways I'm semi-corrupt, I'm followed a kind of left-hand path, but I think I've always been resistant to the corruption, to the propaganda, to the bullshit that I think now I am sort of stepping outside the matrix just a little bit, I'm not following, like I said, I'm not a Jesus freak. I'm not a God botherer. I'm not, praise the Lord and pass the ammunition, hallelujah, kind of a thing. But I grasp more and more why this John Rice guy with this voice, he's one of these, kumbaya circle Christians that believes thoroughly in the New Testament, not the Old Testament, if you know what I mean. And I can sort of see the appeal of wanting to believe in something that's good and innocent and pure and redeeming when there just seems to be so much filth and wickedness in the world that, without some of these comforting lies and illusions, yes, it's all quite a bleak picture. If you're truly aware of stuff going on in the world, like the ritual abuse and the pedophilia and all the stuff that, yeah, I can understand. I don't necessarily believe it. I have my doubts about this Jesus guy and God and stuff like that a lot of the time. It doesn't, it doesn't make sense to me. I would perhaps have words with these characters about why they allow all of this stuff to go on in our world, but the Christians would just say, yes, the world's run by the devil, and sometimes I think to myself, hey, maybe they're right. I don't know. Based off what I see and what I know, I don't know. So Again, I'm not positing in a positive sense the existence of anything. I don't know. I don't have the evidence, but I'm aware of, yes, there seems to be, some, wickedness, some bad stuff going on. So, anyways, yes, it's called A Child's Voice. It's banned. Like I said, it's not a particularly great movie, but it goes into their research of what they've done of all the, the human trafficking, the child sex abuse and stuff, all linked and connected to Hollywood. And I am of the opinion anything that's banned, anything that they don't want you to look at or want you to see, there's good reason for that. And I've always had the attitude that anything that's banned, fuck you, I'm gonna watch it. I remember I don't know if I've talked about this before, but when I was growing up in high school, Holocaust education and stuff with the Nazis and everything, um, I wanted to read Mein Kampf, and I did. And yeah, it's a bad book, but my attitude was, yes, you should read and look into and research whatever you're going to criticize, right? If you're going to criticize the Nazis, which yes, you should, the Nazis are evil. Yeah, you should read Mein Kampf. You should know what it's about. You should, look at it squarely in the face and dissect it and comb through it and analyze it, whatever. But that was anathema in my school. Not allowed to read it, not allowed to do it. So I said, fuck you, I'm going to read it. When I studied philosophy at the University of Toronto, I studied, the existentialists, Jean-Paul Sartre, Albert Camus, all of that, and Emil Cioran, who I've talked about many, 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 many times in some of my previous videos, like going way back. He's another one of those thinkers that they tell you, no, don't read him. He's like a footnote. He's like the ugly girl at the dance. Don't read him. He was a former fascist. No, you don't read him. Barely mentioned, barely talked about. Well, fuck you, I'm going to read him. And yeah, reading his stuff, yes, he's very depressing, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to get into it too much. But yeah, I've always been resistant to people saying, these little Hitlers saying, nah, you can't read that. No, you can't watch that. And our society and the media, the big bad government, the evil corporations like Google and all these other corporations they get to decide what you see and what you watch and what you are exposed to. And like I said, you should always maintain a healthy skepticism. You should always, think for yourself. Don't buy into everything hook, line, and sinker. Of course, do your own research and everything. But yeah, these fucking people say, nah, you can't watch that. Why do they get to decide? Yes, the Politburo decrees that you can't watch it. The fucking little Hitlers and Google and YouTube and stuff get to decide, nah, you can't watch that. Well, fuck you, I'm going to watch it. Go fuck yourself. Anyway, so yeah, check those two out. Shadowgate and A Child's Voice. They're good. They're interesting, thought-provoking. Anyways, I've gone on long enough. That's basically it. That's enough of a video for now. Philosopher Stoner out.